Hello, everybody. I mean, this is something that's been a little bit of time. It's been a while. I haven't been on here much lately. Been working on that book, trying to get into the nitty gritty, finishing it all up and everything. But I got to tell you, today we got a wonderful guest. He's been on Come Get Some a few times, but hasn't been on the Skits Fun House yet. So without waiting, without delay, I would like to welcome Dave Schwartz to the Skits Fun House!
Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to be here. What an intro.
Hey man, I mean, that's what it's all about. You got to break that tension. You just got to get right into it and grab hold of it and do the best you can,
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So how are you doing? Let everyone know how you're doing. I mean, you're out there, you're pimping your books, you're getting it in front of people. Let people know how you're doing and what's going on in your life right now. How is Dave?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. I got this comic on Indiegogo right now. It's been going really well. We've had it up for about 20 days. We're really close to hitting our goal. We're so close. We've only got like $300 some left, and then we'll be there. So I'm so close. I'm watching it like a hawk. But yeah, I've been having so much fun going on all these shows and promoting the hell out of the book. Getting a chance to talk about, my approach to, comics and storytelling and my new fun take on the Frankenstein story. Because after all, my book is a Frankenstein story. So,
hey man, you can't go wrong with monsters and stuff like that. I mean, that was like the bread and butter of comics and magazines back in the 50s and 60s. It was like horror magazines, the monster magazines, eerie, creepy, Vampirella, all that type of stuff. It was like but then the comics code came in and it shut all of them down, and it was
right.
like so it's good that we can actually come along and do that sort of thing. I mean, when we're doing it ourselves online, on Indiegogo, on Kickstarter, wherever you are, you don't have to worry about that. You can do whatever you want, and it's right there. You put it in front of people and let them decide. I mean, how do you like that? It's like you don't have to worry about nothing.
Right. And that's the approach that I love to take with it. I feel like I'm uniquely equipped to do a lot of the process of making a comic myself. So I can, don't have to rely on a big team of creative people in order to be able to make it. However, I think there's something about collaborating with other artists and talking to other creators and sharing ideas that's great. So I always loved the fact that the comic book community is very, sharing and giving, and everybody wants everybody to, rise to that same level. So
yeah, that's the thing that really got us going. About a year and a half, no, about 2 years ago now, I started taking notice to what was going on online. I bought a few Kickstarters back in the day. Like I was doing Jason Brubaker's for a while. Like his, I really gravitated towards, and there was a few others in between there. But then all of a sudden, it just felt like it blew up, and there's a lot going on. And I was like, wow, it's like finally maybe I can get into this and do something. Now, was that the same for you, or were you already doing stuff already before all this stuff kind of blew up in the last few years, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the industry for about 6-7 years now. So when I first started though, I was just doing it all by myself, kind of in a little, silo in my basement, not really telling much of anybody about what I was doing, what I was up to. But after my first book, I realized I need to start getting out there more. I need to start putting myself out there. I need to start talking more. But I think after a while, I just, for whatever reason, I got really sidetracked with other projects, and I was working on other people's books. And I actually did storyboards for a Warner Brothers animation movie for like 6 months, which was super cool.
Nice.
But a lot of those projects, as much as they're fun and cool, you can't talk about it. You can't share it with anybody. You literally have to keep it in secret. So there was a large part of the last couple of years where a lot of my work was just kept in secret. So I didn't really enjoy that part of the process. I wanted to be able to share, what I was doing with people. So that's why I decided I wanted to come back to self-publishing a book, trying to do everything myself, have complete control over what's released, when, And actually, at the same time as I'm doing this crowdfunder on Indiegogo, I also have a Patreon for those who are really interested in creating a book, because I go through the process of creating every page of Confederate Monster. You get to see the roughs, the pencils, the inks, the colors, the letters, and you get to get a little bit of insight into every single page, my own take on why I did it the way I did it, or why I didn't do it the way I didn't do it, that kind of thing. So I always just enjoy, having the ability to, create a book and share it with the community rather than just, keeping it close to the chest and not being able to do it and talk about it, in secret all the time. So.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one of the fun things. For skits, I tell people all the time. It's like this is something that I've actually been working on for 20 years. It's like 12 years ago, I actually went and did 3 floppies, and they really never seen the light of day. I think I printed up like 10 of each of them, and I sold them at some local shops in the LA area. So if anyone ever got those, it's like there's only like 10 or 15 of them. So that's kind of one of them rare things.
Sure.
But so for me, it's all about just working in the dark, like you said, in the basement. It's just like, man, that's just how I've always been working on it. 20 years working on this stuff. I got piles and piles of work that no one's actually seen. That's actually something that I think after the Skits Fun Book 1, we're actually going to put out a book where I reprint all those original 3, plus do a bunch of art in there. So it might be like 100 and something pages, just.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's something where all the material already exists, and I can put it together, and I can just kind of sit back and relax for a little while after working so hard on this book.
Sure.
And just run a campaign, and then also work on the next book in the background. But I mean, the cool thing for me really has been, the comics community, and the thing that really got me going when I originally did those 12 years ago is I was working at McFarlane. And the people there, the community, everyone talking about comics. We'd go out every Wednesday for new comic books at lunchtime, and it was just really, really cool. So it's like this online thing is really kind of more of that, and it's just great. And meeting people like yourself and all the other people that I've met, it's been really, really exciting. That's just personally for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the major things I really enjoy about this whole crowdfunder business is, being able to talk to people, meet new people. You and your wife, you guys were one of the first people that helped me support, Confederate Monster. So I was super supportive, or, super thankful for that support early on, for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of new people that I've been able to meet just in this book alone for this campaign. And that just broadens your community. It broadens your reach. It broadens how many people are seeing you, right?
Yeah.
So I think, it's a fun experience if you allow it to be, because it can be. It can be a bit of a dredge there after a while, 3-4 weeks in. So.
Well, also I think people get sucked into just the communities and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you gotta keep yourself a little bit distance, because it's like this is just online. It's not real life.
Sure.
Right. If you want all that in-depth stuff that you crave as an individual with friendship and all that, it's like you can create a little something online, but you need to keep that in the real world. And if you keep that mindset where it's like it's not really real, it's online, it's if you keep that, then I think people would be a lot happier. Because I think they get too many expectations, and it kind of kills what they're actually trying to do, I think.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, so let's look at Confederate Monster here.
All right.
Let me share this thing here. Gotta make sure we share the audio. All right, so would you want me to play the video first, or would you like to talk about it first?
Sure, I think you could play the video, and
Okay.
I can kind of extrapolate from there.
All right, give me a second. Let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah, where's my wife? Do you hear me? dismount and walk forward.
Darling, you're home.
And waiting for you with loving arms.
Must you maul her like an animal, Daniel?
Calm yourself, Mrs. Stevenson. I'm just getting into character.
They both insisted upon hiring Daniel's patients to cater. I too thought it would look as unseemly as it does.
Is that all you discovered while befriending Mrs. Schmidt, my dear?
Dr. Schmidt fits the description of our target in nearly every way.
That's awesome, man.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah. Go ahead. I was just rewinding it back here. I want it to have a nice picture when
Sure.
when we're sitting here talking about it instead of. But so issues 1 through 3, are these already done?
So they're largely done. I have about 9 more pages to go in issue 3 before it's wrapped up. I quite literally had to kind of shift gears from production into the campaign to create everything on time and make sure I had everything ready to go. So I haven't really had a whole lot of time to devote back to finishing pages, but I'm hopeful that later on this week I can get back into doing that. I actually finished last week a very large illustration of Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory that I'm going to use as a prize for the art contest that I was just running the last couple of weeks. But that piece in particular, it took me all week. It was about 40 hours or so into that one illustration alone. But it's definitely worth it. It was a great experience to have to create this famous sort of laboratory, put my own kind of spin on it, my own 2 cents. So yeah, but yeah, it's largely finished. We're just about there, and then there's 3 more issues to go after this is done. So when you get to the end of issue 3, it ends on a cliffhanger, and we'll find out what happens in 4, 5, and 6 when I finish it later this year.
All right, nice. So you're actually going to be doing more of these. How many do you have planned out?
Right now, I've only written 6. So I have 6 for the first sort of story arc. However, if you really look at the page count, it's more like 8. So the first issue is a double issue, and the last issue is a double issue. So nice. I always enjoyed that as a entertainment aficionado. I love when TV shows have like a really long pilot or a really long finale, and the same thing with books. I really love when the first issue is really a lot to hook you into the story, and then the last issue kind of really pays. You feel like you get paid off for your investment. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, that's awesome. One thing that I really liked about your book, I was going through the campaign extensively before we got live here, and the book is very consistent with the art and coloring.
Thank you.
I'm guessing that in my mind that comes from experience. You've been doing it a long time. You've honed your style, your craft, and bam. And also, people need to know you're doing everything, right? Penciling, inking, coloring.
Yep. Graphic design, marketing, video creation. So. Yeah, when I first got out of college, my main gig was I was a graphic designer for a marketing company for a couple of years, and then I eventually graduated to creative director for that same company. So my job was I was in charge of branding for all of our clients. So I had to make sure that every client had a cohesive look,
Yeah.
Everything looked like, no matter where you saw a piece of promotional material, you instantly recognized it as, oh, it's that company. So I feel like I really learned a lot about how to market a product and how to brand it in a way where everything is cohesive. Everything feels like, it's fits the story.
Hmm. That's really cool. Yeah, I've worked in the industry as well. What'd you go to college for?
I was just going to college for illustration. So I literally, most of my classes were just about the basics of illustration,
Yeah.
the fundamentals, and then up into the, more advanced technology, the computer digital stuff. But yeah, I was primarily illustration. And then, the job that I had right out of college, it was basic level graphic design, web stuff for the most part. And then eventually it just became a thing where we needed more leadership in the design department. We needed more, input, creative input. So I took over and I started just implementing new policies and new things. And I think it really helped the company, and it helped me because I was taking on too much work. I needed help, so I needed to delegate to other designers, and I was able to hire, handpick people to come in and work for me. And it was a great experience, not only to hone my own skills as an artist and creator, but also as a leader, as a part of a team, as a collaborator, because those skills are invaluable just as much as being able to draw.
Well, here's something I got to ask you, because I went to school for illustration as well.
Mhm.
And the big thing with illustration is they don't teach you graphic design. They don't teach you marketing. They don't teach you developing logos, any of that sort of stuff. So when I graduated, all I had was illustration skills, like everything else I had to, I trained myself for graphic design, all that, because that's, you got to get a job as soon as you get out. And it's kind of hard to find an illustration job. So you go into graphic design and that
Yep.
sort of thing. So where'd you do your schooling?
I went to the College for Creative Study in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
It's a pretty cohesive, or I shouldn't say cohesive. It's more of an all around kind of approach to being an artist. So it's, even though I took illustration, I was always encouraged to take classes outside of my major to expand my knowledge base. So actually, one of the programs they taught, or is part of the program there, in your second year, there was a class devoted to taking short classes in other departments. So it was like you took 3 5-week courses in, whatever 3 departments you wanted to explore. So like for me, I chose to take a class in photography, to take a class in screen printing, and to take one in metal shop, because I just thought to myself, like, when else am I going to be able to have access to like a professional metal shop, So I was like, and to me, it was kind of the most scary because I've never done anything like that before. And like, I almost did wood shop because I'm like, oh, well, I could get down on that. I've worked with wood before, but I thought, no, like, this is an opportunity to learn something you've never played with before. So like, go balls out. So that's what I decided to do. And I must say it was the greatest experience that I had in college, because it was a skill I never knew I had in me. And I wound up making a pretty ambitious piece, and I'm pretty happy with it. So
Nice. Okay, so we got a question here right quick. When did Dave decide to add color instead of keeping it black and white, classic monster style? Was that a decision, or were you always going to do it color?
Well, I think I always planned on doing color. I think I'm more known as a colorist in the comic book industry. I have more coloring credits to my name than I do drawing or penciling. But I think for me, I just always just envisioned it with color. I didn't see it any other way. However, I will say that, hey, Ara, I see that. Ara's a great guy. I was just on his stream a little while ago. But for me, like, I was actually considering doing a black and white version of the book when I get the whole thing done. Because this is just the first crowdfunder. I plan on doing another crowdfunder when the whole thing is finished, so that I can make a really nice collected edition in a hardcover. Because that, to me, is the main goal. When I first began putting the story together, I thought, man, I really want this one in particular to be a hardbound book, because I think it just fits the story. So yeah, that's going to be coming probably this time next year.
Oh, that'd be a ton of fun, man. I love hardbound books, man. For years, I stopped buying floppies. I just bought like collecteds, and the
Yeah.
hardbound stuff was really what I liked the most. You know, it's funny. Like when I was really big into comics, it was probably like late '80s, early '90s. You know, when the Image people all came into doing their thing. That was really kind of like the main time when I was into comics. And then when I got into late high school and college, I kind of fell away because it was like I was focusing on art. I was doing this, you kind of got to, grow up a little bit, I
I was the
guess.
same way. I was the same way.
Yeah. So then I drifted away and then I came back to it years later, probably in maybe 2005 or something like that. And there was some cool stuff, but most of it I just didn't really care for. I didn't like any of the Marvel stuff or DC stuff anymore, and it none of it really appealed to me. So most of it was like this type of stuff, like the independent stuff. So
Right.
and of course getting into the horror and monster magazines. I was always into those anyway. So like for me, I was like, oh, I'll just get back into those because those were always cool. So I think for a lot of older people, maybe this is the type of stuff that they want. Now, have you tried to? Uh, is this for kids? I'll just ask it. Is this for kids?
I would say no. This is very not for kids. This is quite grown up. I think many pages in the first issue are just not suitable for children. So.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at some of the pages down through. I was like, yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
I think right off the bat, like the maybe second page is just like this guy getting shredded by a cannon blast. So that's okay.
Well, I got some of that in skits where people are getting blown up, but you don't show like all the pieces and parts. Yeah, it's kind of more like one of those blow ups like you'd get in the old Warner Brothers cartoon, where their face turns black and they go flying or something.
Yeah. They're fine, people. They're fine.
So it's more like that, but it's definitely ours is for everyone, or at least we're trying to be. But it's really hard to put something like this in front of kids anyway because we're doing it online, and kids aren't really online doing adult comics and finding that sort of stuff, or got the money for it, especially for this sort of thing. I again going back to the idea of consistency and stuff like that. I really liked. I think that was one of the reasons why we bought it. I think we bought it last night. I was like, man, this is really good. It's consistent. So I'd actually suggest everyone go out there and buy it. Get your Confederate Monster. I mean, this is just really cool stuff. But we got a question right here. Has Dave checked into printers yet? Any cool extras to ask about?
Well, yeah, I have a printer that I'm going to go with for the book. There's a couple other things that they're going to do for me as well. I have a couple other things that I'm making for the campaign that are, some would say usual fare. I got your T-shirt, your hat, your sticker, coaster, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'm also making aged prints, which I'm really excited about. They're black and white prints done on a handmade aged paper that I'm hand making myself.
Nice. How are you making the paper? Go through that process because I made a lot of handmade papers when I was in college. So I'm interested.
I'm not weaving the paper myself, but I am taking like regular like 11 by 17 art paper, like print paper, and I'm dyeing it in coffee, and then I kind of bake it on a low temperature in the oven. And then when I take it out, what I'll do to kind of give it a bit of an ombre, like a glow effect where the edges are a little darker, I do another round with the coffee, but the second time I go at it with a sponge and just around the edges so that the edges have a little bit more dye to them and they look a little darker, but it's very subtle. And then after that, I'll finish it off by just kind of running a little bit of a flame around the edge to just give it a little bit of a char. And then in certain areas, I just let it go a little more to give it a little bit of a divot in there,
Nice.
And it really just makes the whole thing look really cool. So
you talked about screen printing, so I thought maybe you'd actually do some screen printing since you did that in college.
I was thinking about doing it for this campaign, but there's just certain things that you got to kind of hold back for other campaigns, and I have a second one for this one, so I want to make sure that I don't blow out all my ideas on the first go around.
Yeah, see that's a big thing for us. It was like everyone was asking, "Oh man, you got these beautiful big paintings, that you've done for skits. Are you going to do prints of?" And I was like, "No." It's like we're trying to get the book done.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. It's like maybe people like the book, maybe they won't, So maybe I should try and build an audience and actually sell the book before we actually do prints and stuff like that, So that was the whole idea. It's like, let's see if people are interested in the book. If people are interested in the book, second campaign, maybe we'll do some prints, So that's something that we might actually look into on the next one. And it'd be like short run, high end stuff, where it's like glace prints or something like that, where they're signed and numbered, maybe 50 of them or something like that. So.
Well, one of the things I'm super excited about for this campaign, I was able to work with a 3D modeler and a printer, and we're making a bust of Dr. Frankenstein, which is super, super cool.
Yeah, I saw that. It looked awesome, man.
Yeah, I haven't had the pleasure of holding one in my hand yet, but I've seen photographs of test prints, and they're looking super rad. My goal is to paint them myself, so the smaller ones, because we're going to make two sizes. We're going to make a 5-inch one and a 10-inch one. And the 5-inch one, I'm going to spray paint with like a marble texture. And then the larger one is going to be painted to look like it's bronze.
What's the bigger size? What size is that?
It's going to be about 10 inches tall.
10 inches.
It's probably going to be it'll probably wind up being about 5 inches around, I would imagine. It's going to be a pretty good size bust.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's actually going to come in 2 parts too, because we have to print it in 2 different parts because of the machine. So the head will actually detach from the shoulders.
Nice, man. When you said that you're doing a bust, I remember I saw it on the campaign, but I was like, you know what? When I was in school, we do metal pours. I don't know if you ever did any of that.
I've never done it, but I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I did it because I took some metal and jewelry classes, and I was carving some of my own stuff. Lost wax technique. I was like, man, this would be really cool to do something like this. I was thinking, I saw yours. I was like, man, for skits, I could do that because I could carve it myself, and then bam, it's like, let's do that, man. Yeah. So you really got my mind going on that one. I was like, but it's like, again, sell the book. See if you can actually get it done.
I feel it. See, that's why I want to leave like some of these really innovative ideas for the second go around, because then the audience hopefully will be bigger. The interest in trying to get the collected edition, I think, will be even greater than these first 3. So yeah, I'm really hoping I can blow the doors off of the second campaign for sure.
Now, have you ever thought of if you end up getting more funding, of trying to get some of this stuff out there somewhere else, like get somebody to do some coloring or get somebody to do inking? Or have you thought about doing that sort of stuff? Because that's something that's kind of stoodling around in my noodle, where I'm just like, man, I can get like, if I just pencil pages, I can do like 2 a day, easy. But then I have inking, and then I have coloring, and it becomes one of those things. But it's like, man, can I hire an inker? Is that something that I could possibly do? So have you thought about those things?
Yeah, I mean, for my last book that I had published, Feast or Famine, I hired another artist to draw it for me and another letterer to letter it for me. And that was a great experience, getting to be able to collaborate with other creatives, getting to see their approach to it. Because obviously I would probably have done it differently, but it would have just been, my voice and not theirs. But again, I think that experience taught me a lot about what to do and what not to do. And I don't think I would be as good at all of these different facets of making a comic without having had the experience of collaborating with other professionals. So yeah, I've experienced it. I've thought about it for this one, but ultimately for this one, I just wanted to get back to doing all of it myself, just because I felt there's a certain freedom that comes, and I'm sure like there's a certain freedom that comes with being able to like change things on the fly, even when you're super far into the process. So I really like that freedom for sure. But who knows? Maybe in the future I collaborate with someone else. We'll see.
Yeah, there's a few colorists out there where I've kind of been like, man, I'd kind of like to have that coloring done on certain pages, because the way I'm doing mine is like I got 3 different styles in the book, and I'm like, man, that coloring would work really good on that style, you know. But it's like one of those things, you got to get more money, you got to get, you know. So
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah.
yeah, so that's something that I definitely like to look into at one point. Now, Black Star, my wife, she said she really enjoyed Feast or Famine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So much.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah, that was
Nice.
a great fun story to work on. I've always loved sci-fi. It's a huge attraction for me, aside from the horror genre. But yeah, I really had a lot of fun doing that book for sure.
Yeah, my wife, she's horror, and then everything kind of comes underneath that for her. You know, me, I'm like sci-fi fantasy, and everything kind of comes underneath there for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with you on that one, my man.
yeah, it's like horror stuff. There was a time in my life where it's like I wanted to watch every horror movie I could get my hands on. You
Sure.
know, like high school, college, that time period. I didn't watch hardly anything in college, to be perfectly honest with you. It's one of those things where you're just in it, you know, you're doing your college, and it's just like that's all you're about. You know, it's like bam, bam, bam. At least that's how I was. There's a lot of people there that were like partying and doing all sorts of stuff, but it was like I was there for art, and that's it. You know, because like it was that was just my thing.
I feel you.
Yeah. So, is there any other little things that we should show about the campaign here that you haven't really touched on?
Well, there is one extra little perk that you may not see in many campaigns. So I have I did an EC retro cover for a print for the book. So it basically is inspired. I think I show a full shot of it in the perk gallery there. Yeah.
Okay.
There's
So go down a little bit.
yeah, just a little bit down, right in there. Yeah,
There it is.
number 4 there. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
done the style of like a Tales of the Crypt, you know, kind of retro cover.
Yeah.
And I did something similar for the Feature Famine campaign with that, and I kind of used the Weird Science comic covers as inspiration for that. But this one I thought was fun because I got to do like little headshots of all the other characters in the story for like, you know, Victor and Daniel and all that stuff. I thought that was kind of fun to do. So this one is a print, 11 by 17 print that'll be available through the campaign.
Nice.
It's probably something you're not going to find in many other campaigns out there. I can probably say that with confidence.
Now, how can you do that and have the EC logo on there?
Well, if they want to come after me, they can come after me, I guess.
I was wondering about that. I was like, man, is he gonna get in trouble for doing the EC?
They can come after me if they want to come after me, but I'm gonna roll with it.
Hey, man, just do it, man.
That's how I feel. I'll ask for forgiveness later.
Exactly. I was about to say that same thing. Better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission.
That's right. So.
Yeah, I saw that cover. I was like, man, that's really, really cool, man. Because you know that's right up my alley. Those old things. Actually, me and my wife last night we watched the Monster Squad.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah, that's one I loved that when I was a kid, and it's still fun to this day. You know, it's like there's I mean, there was some cheesy bits and stuff like that, but for the most part, it was just a lot of fun. You know, and that's the type of stuff that I like, is, you know, the fun stuff. And there's that bust you were talking about, $100 for the bust, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, those things are going to be individually marked with the production number as well. So, you know, you'll be able to see like, okay, this is 1 of 10, you know. So it has a little extra limited edition, you know, factor for you. The other thing too that I'm really excited about for the book is being able to be drawn as an undead soldier in the book.
Yeah.
You know, you can do that with this campaign. And we have 4 people that have done it already. So I'm excited to be able to get as many backers into the book as I possibly can.
Now, can people still do that? Because you said you only have like 9 pages left, right?
Yeah, but I've got I don't have any undead soldiers until issue like 5, and then in issue 5 there is a lot of them, and then same thing for issue 6. I'm almost all of issue 6 is just fighting and more fighting. So there's lots of opportunity to get undead soldiers in those pages.
Nice. Yeah, so get on over there. And it's pretty cheap, too, from what I remember.
It's the cheapest that I've seen so far. So.
Yeah, where was it? Becoming Undead, 50
Yeah.
bucks. I mean, God, that's dirt cheap, man. You're killing us.
I was trying to get everyone in. I was trying to get every soldier to be a backer. So I wanted to try to lower that a little to try to get more people to get it. So
Nice, nice. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think that perk's really cool. We've only had one person take advantage of ours that we did, and
Yep.
we put them in on a couple of different pages, and it looked pretty good. Actually, I probably should send an image over to them because I did it a couple weeks ago, and it looks really, really good. We'll have to talk to my wife about that. She gets kind of sticky about letting things out. I was like, well, they're the only ones who are going to see it, so it doesn't really matter, It's like no one else will see it till the book comes out. So
absolutely.
nice. Okay. So, do you have anything else planned in the future here besides Confederate Dead?
So for this story, I typically write little stingers at the end of my stories just to kind of tease what could happen next. I did one for Feast or Famine, and for this one, I think last I counted, I think I have like 4 different little teasers. So yeah, I got lots of different ideas for where this story in particular could go. However, I have an idea for another crowdfunder after I wrap Confederate Monster. It's going to be a different kind of approach to crowdfunding, I think, but I don't want to reveal too much. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting new way, I think, of creating a comic. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to keep that close to my chest for now.
So when you talk about these little stingers, I'm guessing maybe you got the idea from the old like slasher films and horror movies in the past when they'd actually put out a trailer for a film that didn't even exist. Is that kind of what you're doing?
It's so yeah, it's sort of like after the story wraps, we kind of catch back up with a lot of the different characters a few months later. So we kind of see what happens to Daniel and his wife Elizabeth. What happens to the monster. What happens to Victor. And try to figure out where the story could then go after that, because now things have kind of changed a little. So yeah, it's a little bit like that. Little less trailery and more like just a snippet, like one scene out of the future. So you kind of just get like one little glimpse at what these characters could possibly do next.
Nice. I love it. Okay, so back to the metal shop for a second, because I'm always I love working with metal. Like yeah. I mean, if you look at the music, like Skinny Puppy, it's industrial band. I'm really big into industrial, and I've always been interested in metal work and metal shaping and stuff like that. Now, I wish I'd have taken advantage of that when I was in college, but I just never did. But after college, I got into doing some welding and stuff like that. Now, as you were saying, it's a little expensive for this sort of stuff. Welders aren't cheap. Good welders are not cheap.
Yeah.
Lathes can be ridiculously expensive. And mills. If you want to really get into it, you could mill something.
Yeah.
Like
sandblaster. Like
oh yeah,
really to clean it up. That's expensive.
Yeah, sandblaster, and I probably one of the cheapest sandblasters you could probably get is like $300-400. I've seen them. I know. that's the dirt cheap ones. Yeah. Right. And then you also have the box where it's like a big box where you put your hands in with the gloves and stuff like that. Now, were you able to make anything?
Oh yeah.
What type of stuff did you make?
Well, we started out small. So I think a lot of us started just making basic sort of boxes and simple shapes like that. But our final project, we were supposed to create something that incorporated, I think 5 or 6 different metal, smith techniques. And we were encouraged to make something simple so that, we could get it done in a reasonable amount of time. And I wasn't about that life. So I wanted to just go crazy. And I wound up making this shelf that at the time I envisioned hanging on the wall. After I made it, and I lifted it, and I don't know if it would actually hold on the wall, but anyway, it was a really a weird design where it was like a shelf where it had like a 1 foot by 1 foot platform, and then it had these like curved pieces of rebar that went up to another platform up here, and then another curve to another. So it was like kind of a V shape kind of thing, but it had like this bouncy quality to it because of the rebar. So like as soon as you put anything on it, the whole thing would kind of like this like wavy thing, and it was the most ambitious project in the class. I was there after hours for every second that they would let me into that metal shop before they kicked me out. And I remember one of the last nights I was there, the teacher was trying to help me get one last weld into place. And I was over there just trying to bend this part into place. And I'm bending it. And she comes over and she's like, no, you're never going to be able to do it like that. You have to really do it like this. And she wrenched on it and she broke it. So and she was like, oh my God, I feel terrible. So she kind of like finished my project for me in a way because she felt bad that she like broke it. But it was a really amazing experience to just, challenge myself to do something out of the box, but also challenge myself to just do something really ambitious. So
yeah. Well, that sounds really cool, man. I always like sculpture, building stuff. My dad, he's a woodworker, so I've always been around, those types of tools, being able to do that sort of stuff. So you did that when you were in school, and I never got to. So about 10 years after school, I was like, I'm going to get into something. I'm going to do some welding. I'm going to get into something. So what did I do? I bought me a 69 Charger, and I tried to restore it.
Oh, cool. That's a project.
Yeah, it still ain't done. I did a bunch of stuff to it. I did a bunch of nitty gritty. I learned a lot, but I gave it to a buddy of mine to finish up, and he's been working on it in his spare time. So hopefully we'll get the Charger here at some point.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. I like that. I'm not a huge car person, but I must say I have worked in the auto industry, being from Detroit, quite a bit. Yeah. So I do have an aficionation, or I really enjoy like the clean looks and like the design that goes into all of that sort of stuff. Yeah. And actually, the school I went to, CCS, it's pretty well known for its automotive program. So there's like just automotive concept art like all over that college. So I was always sort of seeing it all the time, and it really gave me more of a I can't think of that word. I want to say damn it, I can't think of it. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Same thing for me. I mean, I've always been into classic cars. I have aunts and uncles that were classic car people, that would build and work on them, drag race them, do stuff like that, so I've always been around that. So like when I got to a certain point where I could afford that sort of thing, I went in for it. It's like I got a 69 Charger. I had a 67, what the heck was that? Oh shoot, I can't even remember that one. Anyway, I got a 60 Ford F100 right now that's got a 4BT Cummins diesel in it. It gets like 30 miles to the gallon. So that thing's awesome. It got a few other things, and it's Coronet. That's what it was, 67 Coronet I had. I bought that from an old couple. They were the only owners of it, and it had 90,000 miles on it. It was still all original factory AC car. I mean, I drove that around for a few years. It was fantastic, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then I sold it, of course. It's like all the cool cars I ever get, I sell, except for my car, But.
That's how I was with musical equipment, because I used to play in a band. So yeah. I sold all of my really good stuff. I had like a vintage 70s bass amp. Like I should never have sold that, but I did, and I regret it every day. But
yeah, I know how that is, man. Well, we've reached that 45-minute time. I know, man, it goes so fast. I know it goes fast, but I need you to tell people why they need to go get Confederate Monster.
Confederate Monster is just a fresh new take on the Frankenstein story. I mean, who can't get enough of Frankenstein? One of the things that I really wanted to do with this story is I wanted to breathe some new life into the character. I've seen Frankenstein in so many different, movies and television shows over the course of however many decades that I've been alive now. But every single one of them in ways just kind of have elements that are very akin to the original. And I just wanted to just take something, take a total new, fresh approach to it, something totally unlike you've seen when you've watched a Frankenstein movie. So, you know, if you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of monsters, if you're a fan of Frankenstein himself, you know, this is a type of story where I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, we thought it was really cool. You know, we backed it, and also my wife really liked your other book. So she was like, yeah, you know, we should probably get it because it just, you know, he's already got some good stuff out there. So let's try this stuff too. So everyone out there, go get it, man. I mean, it looks awesome. I mean, it's a cool background. It's got some neat stuff going on. I mean, it's just everything you want out of comics. That's the way I see it, you know.
Well, thank you. It's a high compliment. Appreciate it.
Hey, that's what we're here for, right? I want to tell people out there, come get some tomorrow. We got Come Get Some at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be awesome. Christina has a really cool guest. The book looks really interesting. This is actually going to be the last SKITS Fun House that I do for probably a few weeks to a month because I'm finishing up the book. I got to just wrench down and get that thing done. So you're my last guest for a little while, you know, for a few weeks or at least a month or something like that. So thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So everyone out there, let me do something here. I am going to share this and then we're going to get on out of here.
All righty.
And then I'll talk to you afterwards too. So stay in there.
Oh, I will.
All right.